welcome to another episode of the A and A Show. And today is part two of our Disney retrospective. I'm excited for this one.
It's a pretty good era. It's all right.
Mhm.
You know, I mean, that's what the critics thought. Let me not start. Let's not start off with that kind of shade. We don't do that. No, this was, I'm looking forward to this too. Because I think this is the era that most people our age grew up on through VHSs. You know, we had to go to the theaters to see the Renaissance classics, but these are, it was a rough period for Disney because, as we've established the last few minutes in our last episode, this was when Walt died from smoking like a chimney, and they copied a lot of animation from each other. But I think it turned out pretty good. I really like. There's some movies here I really do like.
Right. There are a lot that I grew up on. Like a lot of these that I grew up on and I still watch and love to this day.
Right.
And it's funny how they say a lot of and they said a lot of these were like flops, but I'm like, they weren't. As far as like, the actual storylines of the movies, like they weren't, as far as that's concerned. But as it is what it is.
Que sera.
Yep.
Which I feel was a line, but probably wasn't. In a certain movie.
Yes. Not today, sir.
I can't help it. We talk about Disney. We're being fun and fancy free, remember? That's what we established last episode.
Right. We are being fun and fancy free. Okay.
Woo. What's the first movie?
The first one is the Aristocats that came out in 1970.
Not the Aristocrats joke that is incredibly dirty.
Right.
I just need to establish that, Everybody loves it.
I get all these celebs to talk about how they don't bathe.
I mean, everybody wants to be a cat. That's what this movie established.
Yep, because the cat's the only cat.
Who knows?
Knows where it's at. Oh, yes, because everything else is obsolete. But the first song is, the title song, The Aristocats, which is, just, it's fun French song that plays, during the title credits, showing the animation. It's all in French. And, it's a nice little fun song.
Yeah, a little ditty.
It sets the tone. A little ditty. Like it sets the tone of what the movie's going to be about. And, of course, probably my favorite song of
period.
of the movie is Scales and Arpeggios.
Yep. Run them arpeggios back.
When you do your scales and your arpeggios, you're the son of the it's just a fun, cute little song, hearing Marie and Berlioz sing together, and then, Toulouse is painting, and then, he joins Berlioz on the piano, a little healthy competition when they're jumping on piano.
The more I watch that movie, I feel like I'm Toulouse.
Yes.
The more it makes sense. They almost made a sequel to this.
Really?
Yeah. Probably would have been computer animated. So
probably, but I could see it though. I could see a sequel to this. I could definitely see a sequel.
I'm surprised they didn't make a live action. How do you do that?
I'm definitely a Marie. I'm
obviously,
even though I'm a lady. That's why.
You're not a lady.
You're but a sister.
But I mean, for me, one of the iconic songs is, of course, Thomas O'Malley cat.
Mally, yes.
Come on,
You
the
yourself
Thomas O'Malley. Like
Thomas O'Malley.
Homeboy was just, he oozed coolness to be an alley cat. Like, and I, back in the day, I swore that was, I thought that was a certain kitten's father, because
yes, because he kind of looked like him.
I was like, hey, Duchess, what you doing? Duchess, why aren't you, and then when somebody else shows up later, I sure did swear that was a certain kitten's father too.
Yep.
And I was just
like, look like him, because he kind of looked like him too. Like, Duchess, what?
Right, like what is going on? No, but that's a good movie. Like, it had really fun songs. Like I said, Everybody Wants to Be a Cat. That's the marketing tool that they use in all the trailers back in the day to re-release the music before it goes into the Disney vault.
And unfortunately, that song had about 10 seconds of racist in it.
Yeah,
the song got until that 10 seconds. You're like, why?
Yeah, with the
why
the chopsticks.
Why was that even necessary to even put in? Like, that was not necessary.
It's really awkward. Yeah, this is what this episode's going to be. Every time we bring up stuff like this, what's really awkward is around this time, 70 whatever. I think it was 70 flat. I can't remember when, but the animation style with the cats and all the stuff. Here's critic Aaron moment. Let me readjust my hat to critic Aaron. Even though we've moved past the need of YouTube criticism, it reminds me of Fritz the Cat, an adult animated X-rated film about talking animals, particularly a gray cat. And it's just like the way, like, it's just funny because the music in Fritz the Cat is kind of similar to the music in Aristocats. I don't know what was going on with Cats in the 70s at the time. Did Cats the musical come out in the 70s?
Hold on, let me look. That's a good question. All I can think about is the nanny when Maxwell say that the Maxwell bit where they're like, he passed up on cats. He's like, who got cats? Enter Roy Weber.
That is the best running joke on there. He passed up on cats because Cece told him to.
Yes.
When did them Jellicle cats
Cats the musical, 81.
Okay, so
premiered in 81.
People were just feeling them Jellicle cats in the 70s for some reason. Okay, but yeah, no, that's interesting. Now that I think about it after watching that movie, I mean, I watched Fritz the Cat when I probably shouldn't have, but I see the similarity in seeing two spectrums of animation for the culture, for the 60s culture, or the late 60s, early 70s, still that hippie, but also the, getting out of that. That's interesting, and they're both from the perspective of bougie, non-melanated people in the form of cats. That's interesting. Something to think about, Yeah. You think the Aristocats would have stayed alive if they were human? No.
Nope.
We know the story of, we're not going there, a certain princess who had a movie of her that wasn't Disney, but now is Disney,
Yep.
The Russians. Wait, do we talk about that in the 90s now? Can we do that?
Technically, since it's part of the Disney family now, we technically can talk about Anastasia. We technically can. It's not part of the Disney Renaissance per se, but we can definitely talk about it being a. Now it
was there. Okay, noted. Watch out for that next episode. We're gonna have a whole moment where we talk about how great Aaliyah is. Bet.
Yes. Journey to the Past, my jam.
Right.
My jam.
So the next movie Bed knobs and broomsticks.
Yep.
I'll tackle that one. It was, I mean, they were animated segments. It was a lot like Mary Poppins, but no shade, no tea. It was forgettable. You know, a lot of the movies around, a lot of animated movies, not just with Disney, but you know, a lot of animated movies around this time did this whole live action character with animated character that, you know, the novelty wore off until a certain other movie that we'll talk about in a few is just like, you know, it's a forgettable movie. Like there's only one song I remember because of the Under the Sea sing along videotape from 1990 whatever, and that's Bobbing Along because it's catchy. But you know, other than that, you know, it had the dad from Mary Poppins and a magical bed that him, this woman, and two kids got on. They rode around the world. I don't know what else. Yeah,
not much else to it. Not really much else.
It was a movie. It was a movie. If you think of the most 70s thing that Disney could have done, I think that was it, because that's some drugs right there.
Yep.
That's some drugs. Like that. It was good for the kiddies, I guess, but you know, forget all that, because you know the next movie though.
The next one is my jam. I love this movie ever since I was young.
Yeah, you deserve to say this one.
Robin Hood. Oh, I love Robin Hood. And
Robin Hood, that man, that fox.
Robin Hood and Little John walking through
the forest.
Ooh, the lolly, golly, what a day. Like, it's one of the most memorable intro songs of during this time. And literally. It's Will Scarlet as a rooster. And I can only imagine that if they redid it, as far as like they animated it, but they redid the voice cast of today, I could definitely see Matthew McConaughey voicing Will Scarlet singing. I can see it. I can see it.
Definitely. Like that, I think that would be the only time I forgive if and when they remake this movie. You know they'll have Johnny Depp as Robin Hood. I'm sorry, they would.
You think they would? You think they would have him?
Just saying. I'm just saying. The fact they had a Shakespearean actor to play Robin Hood too, you know, Brian Bedford. Like, man, this was a good movie. Like, just in the music, once again, you know, they had that 70s edge, because like I'm the nerd that listens to the score while I'm watching the movie, and you know, every time like some big action sequence, you hear the guitar, you'd hear that 70s acid guitar, you know, and you're like, well, you know, that's one of the better things about this era. And I think one of the better things about Disney is when they take something, flip it, reverse it, you know, like a girl who, you know, usually flips and reverses stuff. That's what they did to Robin Hood. They took it, they didn't take itself so serious, but they still told the story. And they added it's kind of hard to explain, but it's like the music, you know, with the score, it puts it in like this little time capsule, but at the same time, the actual music, like with the lyrics, makes it timeless.
I see what you're saying. Like it's reminiscent of the older films, like that, like before it, like the Jungle Book and the Aristocats, like that type of sound, but they reinvented it to make it sound real. I get what you're saying.
Like that's interesting when they do stuff like that, because Ooda lolly, golly, what did it? And the Phony King of England was my shit.
Yes, the Phony King of England.
Like every time I used to rewind the crap out of that movie. Oh no, wait, no, you can't not talk about this movie without Nottingham.
Nottingham. Like, I do not just hear Matthew McConaughey just singing that.
Right, sometimes the ups outweigh the downs, but
no, I can definitely hear Johnny Cash. Like, if Johnny Cash was available during that time, I can hear him singing that. Yeah. He would have the sorrowfulness, like all the like all the people in jail, like all the animals in jail, you know, with the balls attached, and Will Scarlet, you know, just singing sadly, you know, Nottingham. Just like
Nottingham should have got shot.
Yep.
We just see that now. We getting that out the way.
Speaking of funny King of England, it was funny like when Hiss and the Sheriff of Nottingham were singing it a little
Yeah, yeah. Oh, his and yeah, they would sing. Yeah, they would sing a song.
Little John was
That
here.
was so funny.
Not
That
Little
was
John,
so
Prince
funny.
John was hearing them sing.
Right. Like that was so. And Prince John, like every time, it just mommy,
Mommy.
suck on his damn thumb,
Like
pull his
what?
ear.
Like what?
Yeah, that was iconic. Of course, you know the classic lovey-dovey song with
Yes, when they go
Queen
back to the
Mary.
forest and they
Yeah,
start dancing. Yeah.
yeah. But that was there was some iconic. I think this is where they moved, going off of Bedknobs and Broomsticks. This is where they kind of moved back over to making the hits happen, because that does harken. I'm using that word, harken back to the Jungle Book and things like that. But I think the big iconic movie after Walt's death, of course, was The Many Adventures of Winnie the Pooh.
Yes.
Because
Yes.
this movie right here, Pooh Bear never left after 1977.
Nope. He was a Disney structure from then on. Like you can't go anywhere without Winnie being anywhere in the Disney realm. And of course the Tigger song.
Oh, the wonderful thing about Tigers.
The Tiggers are wonderful.
I almost said the other word right there.
The other word.
I almost said the other word.
Like who can forget? Who can forget that song? Like
that one you can't forget. Of course, the classic Winnie the Pooh.
Winnie the Pooh.
Yeah. Really, I think the whole soundtrack. Because I remember Up, Down, Touch the Ground. Once again, from the Disney sing-along songs VHS. But Little Black Rain Cloud, the rain came down, Heffalumps and Woozles.
Heffalumps.
Yeah,
Take me back.
Iconic soundtrack. I think, as I was just saying with Robin Hood, this goes into the right direction of keeping that timeless feel, because it don't matter what era this movie could have been in, you literally can watch it and feel like it's timeless, because that whole storybook aspect, it just works. It works. I love it.
One of my faves. I love it. When I was a kid, I would love all the spin-off movies of Winnie the Pooh, as well as the TV show. I would watch Winnie the Pooh from when I was 5 to 10, getting ready, because it would come on at 6 in the morning on Disney Channel. I would wake up, watch Winnie the Pooh, get ready to go to school.
As Ben Affleck, I agree. But I mean, you want to talk about Disney taking some risks? This next movie.
Ooh, I love this next one. Oh my God, I can't explain how much I love this next movie.
I mean, the song RESCUE.
Rescuer Society.
Heads held high,
touch the sky. You mean everything to me. Or who will rescue me? Yeah. Who can forget? The very beginning?
What was that really sad song in it?
I think it's the I am lost without a friend. It's the beginning song when she sends, when she's on Medusa's boat, she sends the letter out. Somebody come get her. It's when the bottle is going from, you see the bottle.
That one, and then someone's waiting for you. That shit. Oh my God! That whole movie is an emotional roller coaster. That goes back to Disney having that emotional aspect. I think this is where Disney started to get really serious too.
Because I love Penny and I love Bernard and Bianca. They really did risk everything. They are a power couple. They really are. And when we get into our Disney Renaissance space, we're definitely going to talk about Rescuers Down Under.
I'm ready for that one. I'm ready. So ready.
But yeah, they were they risked everything to to save this girl from her evil aunt, her henchmen, and her alligators. It's and Penny, She's just a little girl just trying to make the best out of her situation who just wants to get out of it. And you're just like, somebody please come rescue this girl. Please
Like
come get her.
where
Come
was
rescue her.
CPS? Where was CPS? Good God, Madam Medusa need to. That's another person need to get got. She need to get got. Like that was Cruella DeVille's sister. You can't tell me it wasn't. Her cousin or something.
She definitely had Cruella vibes. Like no doubt about it. She definitely had Cruella vibes.
Yeah, but the soundtrack to that thing, it was like I think it was less timeless and it was more kind of it reminded me of like those 50s road to, 30s to 50s road to movies, but it did it right. Like I don't know, like they just did it right. And that was once again I think the first Disney movie where they had a someone who wasn't associated with in universe in the film sing a song, that talked about the whole situation and stuff. And I'm just like, it worked. Like that was little, like throughout this whole era, you see sprinkles of everything that was going to be on a bigger scale later to make the Renaissance, a Renaissance, like, all these little things, it worked. Now, this next one though, I mean,
oh, this one is sad. This one is
there's one before it. There's one before it. There's one before that one. We'll just briefly, as Queen Elizabeth in The Crown said, on your feet to keep it brief. Pete's Dragon, it existed. I don't remember nothing about it. It had some decent songs, I guess. It was 70s.
I just remember the dragon design. That's what I really remember. I remember
that lets you know some good animation,
Yep.
To let you know how bad it is, I did some research before we recorded this because I know there's some Pete Dragon fans out there, and music's alright. It's alright, but
it's alright.
Yeah. But like the Muppets, we're gonna move right along. See what I did there?
Yes.
Because Disney technically owns them. See?
Yep, I do. Yeah.
The saddest. I think this is the saddest movie
of this period, definitely.
Yeah, because this isn't tech. This is like a very even The Fox and the Hound, y'all. The Fox and the Hound.
Yep.
A very bittersweet ending. Like the book was a wreck. The book puts you in a wreck, but like the movie, like I said, like this is when Disney was in their kind of dark period. They took themselves a little more serious. They wanted to compete and all this stuff because Disney was going down in terms of ratings and all this stuff, and they were always having mismanagement, much like Warner Brothers, and I had to get that in there. And there's just nobody had a vision. Nobody had a vision. And The Fox and the Hound is a gem. It's a gem in this era. And the fact that one of my favorite animators and one director. Okay, no, two directors I respect. One director who's also an animator I very much respect, and one is a director that is like, he's, I respect him, but some of his views are, and that's Don Bluth and Tim Burton.
Yep, because I did.
They both, they worked on this film. It's amazing.
Because I did some research, and they said this one, as well as they said this one, it was a year delay because that's when Don Bluth decided to make his own animation studio and went to MGM, and he started working on his animation movies there. So I'm like, so he took a lot of the young animators.
That's right. He took them from Disney because it's like, I think this was the one. I think this is the last one he worked on over there, and it was him. As a matter of fact, for everybody who's interested in what we're talking about, watch the documentary "Waking Sleeping Beauty." But great film. But like Tim Burton, you had that dark
he did Vixie. He worked on Vixie.
And like just you see that edginess that you won't get anymore. And it's like with the bear, with the the racism overtone, it ain't even undertones, these overtones.
Overtoned, right.
And like the fact that they got Pearl Bailey.
Bailey. Like, think of the voice talent. You got Ricky, you got Mickey Rooney as Todd, you got Kurt
Lord,
Russell as Copper.
Lord.
Like,
Just,
you got a young Corey Feldman as a young
yep,
young Copper. Like,
yep, yep, yep. Sandy Duncan. Like just Pat Bertram. Just the cast was solid. The cast was solid. The songs were great. The songs were really great. Best of Friends, Lack Education. All of them.
like when I tell you Best of Friends, like when she was singing
Yep.
that,
That's
I
just
was like y'all just get called poor Todd and Copper. Live it up now, cause y'all don't know what y'all about to get
right.
into when y'all get older. So please
Get in the way. Like that's so sad. Bittersweet. That I think, and the fact that was the first song too, that lets you know like the whole movie's just gonna be like that. It's like here's some happy tunes, but it's
and
sad.
it reminded the very beginning, when Todd's mom is carrying him through the forest when the hunter. It reminded me of Bambi. It gave me Bambi vibes when I was watching it.
I wouldn't be
Like,
surprised if they rotoscope or redrew some of that. Honestly,
it gave me Bambi vibes when I was watching it, and I was like,
oh my god, no! And Goodbye May Seem Forever. That shit.
Yeah.
Oh, that old woman wanted to keep Todd so
She
bad.
did. She did, but he's a why she can't. She couldn't.
Right.
She knew she couldn't because Todd. I love Todd, but he's a rogue. Like Todd, my boy
Right.
Todd is a rogue. Like he can't stay in that farm.
Some people in the real world need to learn that lesson and stop getting them exotic pets. But that was just Disney needs to show that movie more love.
Mm-hmm.
Like the sequel with Reba McEntire. It exists, but
yeah, it exists.
it exists, but like
just like a lot of these Disney sequels.
Yeah, the magic that was there, just you can't make it up. You can't make it up. I think that was one of their best in this era.
Mm-hmm.
That was one of their best. If there was a top 3 out of what 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. This is in the top 5.
Mm-hmm.
This is in the top 5.
Definitely.
Just how
Definitely
so good, so good. But this next movie,
this next one.
This is the pleasure over here because there was a great movie in here.
Okay.
It was a great movie in here. It just
So
it was missing something.
So what's so funny about this one? It came out in '85, and people really thought this was the lowest that Disney went because it didn't feel like a Disney movie at all.
It didn't have song. It didn't have the classic Disney songs in it.
And of course, we're talking about the Black Cauldron. And to be honest, this is probably one of my favorites during this time.
It's good. And
it's good.
What's funny is this was the era where a big player, Jeffrey Katzenberg, came into the picture, and he cut this movie up. That's why it did so bad at the box office. Cough, cough, Walter Hamada. But I had to get that in there too. But it was. I wish they would release the cut that made him want to cut up because it's a rated R cut basically, and just how gory and things. Like there's a whole scene that they cut out where the Mist grabs a guard and it burns his skin off, and it shows the skin being burned off, and he becomes this creature of the night. And then when the skeletons pop out of the cauldron and they grab the soldiers and it shows them ripping their skin, I'm like, dang, come Disney, give me more of that.
Right. And people really thought like Disney was out of pocket for that. I'm like, are you kidding? This is probably some of the best work they've ever done.
Right. And isn't that always a story,
like
audience who don't know no better,
right.
Destroying it.
Right. I'm like, you're heading in a good direction. This isn't bad. Like this isn't.
This was an epic. This was the beginning of an epic, at least a trilogy.
Mm-hmm.
It was good.
Right. You could tell they were definitely going in a more mature storytelling mode. Like you could feel it. Definitely like in the mid '80s, you definitely got that in animation, like just in general. like like Rock and Rule, like all the other ones that we watched, like those type
we gotta talk about that. We gotta
like
talk about Rock and Rule
like
now.
those type of like how like when Don Bluth when he went in the mid '80s to MGM, how their animation got elevated too, and it's like all during this time, all of animation was elevated as far as story.
They treated themselves serious.
They did, and this was one of Disney's most serious animated movies, and
then the music sounded like the score to Ghostbusters.
It did. It really did.
Like that that sound. It just, if y'all watch Ghostbusters, you know what I'm talking about, the first one. But yeah, no, it's a good movie. It's a good movie.
It is.
I don't care what nobody says.
I don't either. I like this movie. I really like it. Yep. It's in my realm. Like I enjoy it every time I watch it. I like the Black Cauldron. I do.
Classic. It's a classic. Like it's an underrated classic now. Once again, for those that are interested in what we're talking about, watch the documentary Waking Sleeping Beauty, because oh my God, they get in mega detail about that. Now, I mean, this next movie, The Great Mouse.
My pages.
I mean, had that was going back to form, because Jeffrey Katzenberg was like, we need more musical numbers. We need, to do what Walt would do. That was his thing. And there was still, like, you can see there's resistance because it wants that dark edginess, but that classic Disney feel, it was hell in production, but the movie was great. Like Sherlock Holmes as a mouse.
Love it.
Like only Disney could do that.
And we got the resurgence of a villain song. Radigan. Oh, Radigan. We got a resurgence of a villain song. Yep. And
Vincent Price. Vincent freaking Price.
Like, this is definitely one of the ones that was on repeat on VHS in my house. Because like me and my brothers would watch of this period. Me and my brothers would play the Aristocats, Robin Hood, and the Great Mouse Detective on repeat.
That's about right, because that's what I watched the Great Mouse Detective a lot. I think I watched that as much as a movie we'll get into in the next episode, Beauty and the Beast. But like,
when I say during Disney Renaissance, I watched those every single one so many times.
We don't even need to do research. Like, no, I'm ready for the next episode. I'm so ready for that one. That one's gonna be. That's probably gonna be.
Two-parter?
Too. Yeah.
It's going to be a two-parter.
Because we got to break down. We got a lot to break down with that. But yeah, no, the Great Mouse Detective, like the music, it was your traditional, horns and strings and stuff. But then you had the Disney villain song. You had, the action, the grit. Like that was chef's kiss,
Mm-hmm.
Now this next one, 1988. Like an animator's wet dream over here. Who Framed Roger Rabbit?
Yes. Oh, you missed one.
Did I?
Yes, you missed one. A lot of people don't. They know it, but they always skip over it because the brave little toaster. The brave little toaster.
You right. So much like how filmmakers have done, I'm going to push Roger Rabbit to the side for a second. There's the shade. And we got to acknowledge Brave Little Toaster had Phil Hartman in it. Like, brilliant. It's a brilliant animated movie. Like, that was Toy Story before Toy Story.
It really was. Like, it really was.
And it was so 80s, but it wasn't that's that timeless but timed feeling again. Like, it was like when they're looking for I forgot the dude's name, but they called him Master and stuff. The kid that owned all the appliances. When they go to his apartment or house or whatever, and everything's new, and he's and the lamp and stuff, and the way they drew them, they're just assholes. And the song was so annoying. Like, that's the reason why I remember this movie is because it was creepy, annoying, like characters were annoying when they were supposed to be annoying, and then it was so depressing. But like, I'll never forget. That's how, that lets you know how good a movie is. With the music, it was just when they did more, everything you wanted, and more, like so 80s. But they, you could tell them they were, that's the closest thing to the villains other than the other one. But like, you know, two of my favorite songs were, this is where my big Disney nerd comes out now, because we're gonna mention, you'll see it big time in the next episode, but like B movie,
Yeah, B
when
movie.
Phil Hartman did that Peter Lorre impression as that lampshade thing, and they did "It's Like a Movie," like classic 1950s horror, like just chef's kiss to that. But the one, the only, worthless. That song creeped me out when I was young, tore me up when I was young. And the lyrics, because I read it from a YouTube comment, is they said, if you look at all the appliances and all this stuff as humans, the way these cars talk are like people in a mental institution. And I'm like, oh my God, these cars talking about how worthless they are and how they screwed up their owners' lives and all this stuff because one car couldn't get started. Once again, the lyrics for that thing, the voice actress who did that, no, it was a voice actress. She went like, I just can't seem to get started. Like that was.
It's a class. This one is definitely one of the underrated Disney movies of this time. Because I remember watching The Brave Little Toaster a lot when I was a kid.
It came on Disney Channel all the time.
Yes.
Whew.
Yes.
And Toon Disney.
You see, that was when Disney used to actually put the theatrical releases
Yep.
on Disney Channel, but they don't do that like that anymore.
Those, Brave Little Toaster was, that is how you do. That's how you do Toy Story with musical numbers. Because Pixar prides themselves with no musical numbers, from characters singing what they feel, but like, it was that's an emotional roller coaster. That's an emotional roller coaster of a movie. Like it really is. It just, Brave Little Toaster deserves all the love. I'm sorry for forgetting it. Disney should be super sorry for always forgetting it. Yeah, no, that's a classic, pure classic. But then we got Roger Rabbit. None of the songs in the movie are original. Smile Darn You Smile is a song from a Foxy cartoon, which was a comparative Mickey Mouse, and Why Don't You Do Right is a song from the 40s that Jessica Rabbit sang. I mean, the music, the score in it, it captured the wacky, 1940s style, cartoon music perfectly with the big band and all this stuff, and then it captured that noir, with the saxophone all the time. Like it was a beautiful combination that it was like, what if you put Mickey Mouse in Chinatown? Like it
worked.
It worked.
It worked so well because I love Who Framed Roger Rabbit.
Yeah, it's classic.
This classic movie, and of course, Jessica Rabbit did her thing. She did her thing.
She did when she came out in that sparkly ass dress.
Look how she ate that. Look how she ate that.
Look how she ate that. Like, I'm not bad. I'm just drawn that way, ma'am. You nasty. Keep it going.
Nasty.
You nasty. Keep it going. Like, oh yeah, no, that was great. And seeing all the characters that we grew up with interact with each other. And what was funny was the lawyers were there to make sure, from Disney and Warner Bros., to make sure each character had the same amount of screen time.
Yeah.
And that's the only reason why you see Bugs Bunny and Mickey Mouse always like right next to each other. Yeah, no, the movie, the music behind it, the characters, everything about that was brilliant. Like I said, with the music, it just, that noir feel, I got my noir fix with it, but then that cartoony stereotypical edge, like I just love it.
it just worked. So,
Yeah.
like how they were able to just combine it all, but still
Right.
make it a masterpiece. Like, because it is an anime. Even though a lot of it takes place in the world, it's still an animated masterpiece.
Right. And it's like Once Upon a Time in the West. Man, lost a damn mind.
Mine in the West.
No, well, it's just like Once Upon a Time in in New York or wherever that was. In Toontown. Once Upon a Time in Toontown. Like, I just love it. But now we gotta take it to Once Upon a Time in New York City with a little redhead cat. Oliver. But it's not Oliver Twist. We're gonna turn him into animal. Like, the way he was literally a redheaded stepchild.
Bro, he really was a redheaded stepchild.
That cat needed. That was okay. So also, we're ending the talk, at Oliver and Company for this episode, but it's for good reason because this is the beginning. This is the end of the era we've been talking about in the beginning of the Disney Renaissance, because the blood, sweat, and tears, the animators, the production team, the voice actors, the music, the producer, like everybody put their all because they were tired of Roger Rabbit was their first big success in 10 years, in like 11 years. Think about that. That's rough. Or even longer than that. But it's like now they put their blood, sweat, and tears. And when you get Huey Lewis and the news saying Once Upon a Time in New York City, like, and then my boy, Billy Joel.
Billy Joel. 1 minute I'm in Central Park.
Then I'm down on the Lynching Stream.
Man, that is a classic.
With them sausages, dragging them all through that stuff. Like,
hey, those are mine. I got them. I got them.
You want them? Come and get them. Like, yeah. And of course, Bette Midler doing perfect. Is Rise and Shine, Georgette. Like that movie, Roscoe and DeSoto. Like, I just keep talking. Like, had Shirley Raff in it. Like Broadway. This movie they went all out with it. Like the music, it captured that 80s New York feel that was in a certain movie. It had this once again, a time but timeless feel. And it reminded me of Little Shop of Horrors. And I say that because at this time they watched Little Shop of Horrors and they were like, we need to get the people who were involved in that to come over here. And then the Renaissance happened. But Oliver and Company is great. The movie's great. Like, I just...
And Ginny's song, you and me, we will be together. Like, oh my God. When Oliver finally finds his, his forever home, it's like,
the fact that everyone remembers, why should I worry? Like, that's the message of the movie. Why should you worry? Because you got a house, you got a home, you got something beautiful around the corner. You just got crappy stuff ahead, and really, that's the whole message of Disney. Period. But it's something about this movie. It was like a modern spin on Oliver and Company, but through the eyes of animals. Just once again, like Great Mouse Detective. Like, that's just brilliant. It's brilliant. The music is just
like, I have Watch That Worries, like that the first few. So Watch That Worries. 1 minute I'm in Central Park. That's all. That's every time.
And I'm down on the Lynching Stream.
Oh.
No, and the little mice when they were doing. Oh my gosh.
Like, it had flavor. Like Oliver Company, like you said, it definitely had that New York flavor of the late 80s. Like, it definitely had that. Like, it. I just love this movie. Like, there was really like all of it. There was not like just one like just movie that was just like during this time. Like,
You love to see it. You love to see it. Like Disney, this is when, right after Black Cauldron, this is when Disney started to get that momentum up because the people behind it were getting their butt whooped by Don Bluth. Then Tim Burton's coming out and everyone's taking their animators and all this stuff and their creative development. And it's like, oh no. We got to step our game up. And Oliver and Company was the first step on the stairway to heaven. Yep. See what I did there? See?
Yep.
See? I know my music, y'all. I know my music. Yeah. I love it. Love it. Yeah. So, I mean, without giving spoilers away, that next probably 2 episodes.
Ooh, I'm ready. I am so ready. Because when I tell you this is as 90s kids, these are the movies that we went to the theaters to see. These are the movies that we grew up on. These were the ones that we quote all the time. Like
10 years hit for hit.
Like for 10 straight years. 10 straight years. And even to be honest, even after that, even though they consider the Tarzan to be the last one, I really think Atlantis, Treasure Planet, Lilo and Stitch, The Emperor's New Groove, I really want to consider them part of that.
I'd say like 2003, 4, that was the end. As soon as Brother Bear hit, because that was the end. But we'll talk about that more. But I'm ready. I am so ready for that. But like this is an interesting era for Disney, like from the music standpoint, because nobody could really get down what they want. Is like some people want this more modern edge that everybody was doing at the time, and some people want to keep that timeless aspect to honor Walt's legacy and stuff. And it always clashed, but then at the same time it worked. Some people don't think it worked, but I think it worked because that's the Aquarius in me. Aquarius like weird stuff, but like it was cool. It was cool to me.
I love this period. Like I thought this was a good period. Like I was like, there weren't any like terrible movies in this period. It's just people weren't just really interested anymore. Like it's not that the movies weren't good; it's just people just weren't interested in like that. So, but
enough about DC. So. On that note,
it's not the A&A show without some shade. Without some shade.
DC is about to be the fracking, y'all. If you're a fan of old school multiversity, we finna just do this with DC. Oh, the DC. No, this was a good little walk down memory lane. Like I'm gonna definitely watch a couple of these movies when we're done, because it's classics. Like regardless of what the critics think, because we all know most critics don't know what the hell they're talking about. Like it's classics. For better or for worse. Especially in the, like I said, in the music department. Like this is what everything that happened with music, you're going to see on a much grander scale, and it's more refined thanks to 2 of my favorites
composers and songwriters. Man, they did the damn thing during that period.
So like I said, just really quickly, I will say once again, at this time, while they were getting their butts kicked, especially in the music department, a team of animators, they're watching Little Shop of Horrors, and they're just like, the people that did that, we need to get them.
And we're definitely going to get into that in Hercules. You can definitely see that influence in Hercules for sure. You could see it in Hercules, without a doubt.
Yeah, so we're going to get into with music, at least with music, we're getting into the Howard Ashman, Alan Menken period next. But this was a really interesting period for Disney.
For sure.
It was. Like they were, it was some ups and downs, and as we've established, sometimes the ups outweigh the downs, but not in nodding.
Hell.
I'm done.
All right, Will Scarlet. All right, Will
I'm
Scarlet.
done.
All right, y'all. Thank you for tuning in for another episode of the A&A Show. Peace.
Peace.